Good morning. This week's Torah portion opens with Moshe Rabbeinu saying to the Jewish people, "See, I have placed before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing is if you follow the path of Hashem, the Torah and the mitzvos. And the curse, the consequences will be if, God forbid, you veer and stray from the path of Hashem and do not heed and hearken to His commandments." And the question is, why does Moshe Rabbeinu say, "See, I have placed before you today a blessing and a curse"? Should he have not said, "See, Hashem, your God, has placed before you"? Moshe Rabbeinu is the humblest person in the world. Why would he say, "See, I have placed before you"? And the answer, says the Orach Chaim, is that in life, when someone gives you advice, you want to know what are their credentials. What basis are they forming their recommendation on? Do they have credentials? Do they have expertise? Do they have experiences? That's why when a speaker gets up, the first thing is he's introduced or she's introduced to know their background, their CV, so you can know if you should take their recommendations seriously. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Jewish people, choose a life of holiness, of spirituality, of connection to God. Do not veer from the path of Hashem, and that will lead you to blessings. And the question is, the Jews may think, well, what is your expertise in this matter? So it says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, that Moshe Rabbeinu says, look at me, Re'eh, see me. I lived both extremes. I was born and raised in the palace of Pharaoh. I experienced the epicenter in the Middle East of all power, corruption, immorality, materialism, affluence, everything immoral that I experienced and witnessed in the palace of Pharaoh. On the other hand, I went up to the heavens for 40 days and 40 nights to receive the Torah from God. And as the Torah said, I did not eat, I did not drink. I experienced the heavenly spiritual bliss of life. And I am telling you that a life of indulgence, materialism, a life of pursuit, of hedonism, of pure self-pleasure and enjoyment, of immorality and corruption, leads to a life of curses and consequences, God forbid. But a life of spirituality, of connection to Hashem, to Torah and to mitzvahs, leads to a life filled with bracha, with blessings. I tell a story about a princess who fell in love with a simple farmer. But love is blind, and she moved out of the palace to go live on the farm with her husband, the farmer. But after a while, she missed the palace. She missed the culture, the music, the art, the education in the palace. And her husband saw that she was despondent, she was melancholy, she was sad. And so he decided to cheer her up, and he decided to go out to the farm and pick the best potatoes he can find, and brought her home a gift, a sack of potatoes. But a few days later, he noticed she was sad again, so he decided to go out and pick the best, finest radishes on the farm, and once again presented it to her gift. But once again, he saw she was still sad, so he bought her the best onions and leeks and melons, and finally he said to her, "My dear wife, I've done everything I can to make you happy. Why are you so unhappy?" And she said, "My dear, sweet, beloved, kind husband, what I crave, what I am lacking, what my soul is yearning for, unfortunately, you cannot comprehend. Only someone who has been raised in the palace and understands the life of royalty can understand what my soul needs." And so too, the body and the soul. Sometimes a person doesn't feel happy, a person feels despondent or melancholy, and they think, what could I do to make myself happy? And maybe I could do what they say, retail therapy, go buy myself something new, a new adventure, a new trip, a new gadget, a new car, a new home, to cheer myself up. But the soul is still unhappy, and the question is why? And the answer is because what the soul craves, what the soul knows to be true, its connection to God, the spirituality and holiness it experienced on high before the soul came into the body can never even comprehend what the soul is yearning and craving for. And so Moshe Rabbeinu says, yes, if you want a life of blessing, a life of happiness and fulfillment, you cannot just live a material, physical existence. You have to have a connection to Hashem, to Torah, and to mitzvahs, to spirituality, and to holiness. And therefore, take it from me. See, I experienced the physical, material, affluent world of the palace of Pharaoh, and I experienced the spiritual highs of being in the heavens with God for 40 days and 40 nights to receive the Torah. And if the soul is not fulfilled with holiness and blessings and connection to Hashem, you cannot find a true life of meaning and joy and fulfillment. Have a wonderful day.